Rabbi say, Git Chodesh. It's gewaltig to be back and see the Olam. Chazdei Hashem. Chodesh Kislev, the Chodesh of miracles. Nissim, Benifloyes, Be'ezah Hashem. So I want to discuss, as a beginning, as an introduction, just for a few minutes, because we started a bit late today, because of the Rosh Chodesh, but just to get the Olam a bit into the Inyanim of Chanukah Haba Aleinu L'Toiva. So we'll start with the Moedik Sfas Emes. The Sfas Emes says a Moedik Azach. And of course, by the way, we're learning the halachas over here. Tremendous amount of halachas that we have to learn of all the inyanim that are negayah to Chanukah. For example, what type of oil to buy, what is the location of lighting, the time to light, Mariv, all sorts of shaylas going away for Shabbos, all sorts of shaylas that come in to the yontiv of Chanukah that we have to understand. Every single year the shaylas come in. I'm in the store, which oil should I buy, which menorah, how much money should I spend? All of these shaylas are shaylas that come up all the time on Chanukah. So we're preparing the olam be'ezah Hashem to know all of the halachas. We're going to start with the Moedik Sfas Emes. The Sfas Emes writes a gewaldige Zach. Pinchas, the Gemara says a gewaldige thing. Says the Gemara in Shabbos, talking about the Seder Hadlaka, meaning the Gemara begins. How do we light menorah? In Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, do we start lighting many candles and go down? Do we start with a minimum candle and then go up? How does it work with Chanukah? How do we light our candles? Isaiah brings the Gemara and then tells us the Gemara, my Chanukah, what is Chanukah? The Tana Rabbanon, and the Gemara goes through, as Be'ez Hashem maybe we'll learn, the Gemara goes through what exactly happened on Chanukah, what did the Chashmonaim do, what was the war, what's going on. So Rabbi said the Sfas Emes asks the following kasha. The Sfas Emes asks the kasha and he says, I don't understand. Don't you think the Gemara should have first said, my Chanukah? What's Chanukah? Tana Rabbanon, what happened in the war, the Chashmonaim, what was going on, and then give us the halachas. Why, asks the Sfas Emes, does the Gemara begin with all the halachas of what to do, how to light, where to light, whatever, and then go, oh, my Chanukah, what's Chanukah? The Tana Rabbanon gives us the history. That's the kasha Rabbi Yosef on the Heilige Sfas Emes. And the Sfas Emes answers as follows. Answers the Sfas Emes like this. He says that you can learn all of Hilchos Chanuka. Go through all of the halachas. I'm going to try to go through Be'ezras Hashem this week as much as we can of Hilchos Chanuka. But you're still going to be left with the kasha, my Chanukah. Because Zuk Sfas Emes, Chanukah is so heilig, it's so special, it's so l'mala min hateva, that it's impossible to fully comprehend and understand everything. So even after learning all the halachas of Chanukah, you're still going to be left with a my Chanukah. But l'maisa, what's Chanukah? So we're going to try as much as we can to understand some of the details of the halachas, along with some of the history and some of the things and some of the inyanim that is negayah. Of course, we know, as the Rambam tells us very, very clearly, if you look at the Rambam says the little bit of the history during the second Beis HaMikdash. Some people think sometimes it was the first, it was the second Beis HaMikdash. At the time, the Yevonim, the Greeks, made all sorts of gzeiros for Klal Yisrael. They stopped them from doing all sorts of mitzvahs and learning Torah, Bismillah, Kiddush Levana, whatever it was. And Lamaisa, because of that, Klal Yisrael were in Eis Tzorah. It was a difficult situation. Klal Yisrael didn't know where to turn and what to do. Until came along the Chashmonaim, right? These were the sons of the Kohen Gadol. Tremendous, tremendous miracle. The war, the Milchama happened. Boom! All of a sudden, right? Unbelievable. They had an army of so many in Klal Yisrael, which was so little, overpowered and won the war, which is that's the nace of Chanukah. Now, just to begin, again, today we're doing a short share. We're not going to go too many halachos. Just begin with one question based on this Rambam, and that is as follows. What's the pshat? L'maisa, one of the many things that we add, of course, we say halal, but also ala nisim. During Shemona Esra, during Birchas Hamazon, we say ala nisim. We talk about the nisim and iflois that the Rebbeinu Shem did for us. Now, if you'd ask any kid, what is the mitzvah of Chanukah? Apart from Avada, Seder, you have cheesecake, you have donuts, Feshtetzach, this we know already. But the menorah before is one of the ikka, right? That's what we do as a simon, as a remembrance of the nace, we've got the menorah. But yet, in Ala Nisim, we don't even find the nace that they found, the oil that was tahor in the Beis HaMikdash after the Milchama. Why don't we mention it? if that's like the biggest avoida that we're doing, and people with the avoida, with the psilis, with the wicks, people are busy with the oil and the menorah and the avoida and the mikveh and everything, which is gavaldik. But we don't even mention anything, kamat. Like it's said 2 words in Alanissim. It says the ikka that we add in on Chanukah, where is it? Where's the menorah? Where's the nace? What happened? You hear the kasha? Hesky, you got the kasha? What's pshat that? It's not in Alanissim. Kamat not in Alanissim. So Chaim Shmulevitz Rabbi says a moedik yisoid. Chaim Shmulevitz says yisoid is like this. He says, for example, he brings, imagine if you have a baby that's having a bath, and there's a woman that's bathing this baby. How do you know if it's the mother that's giving a bath to the baby, or it's just the cleaner, the helper, someone in the house that's giving a bath to the baby? Said Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, I'll tell you how you know. If at the end of the bath, the woman picks up the baby and gives a kiss to that child, you know it's the mother. If she gives a kiss, that's the mother. That's clear, it's the mother. Now the child, theoretically, if it was thanking, was old enough to thank, wouldn't thank for the kiss. It would thank for the bath. Thank you very much for giving me the bath. I'll give you get the kiss. It's the same thing over here. The Ikenes was a Vadal Mulchama. It was the war that happened. Klal Yisrael were able in such a small number to defeat so many people. The Greeks, the huge army of the Greeks, that was like the biggest. Right, if you look at V'zoi Sabracha, I don't know how many people are paying attention to Rashi's on V'zoi Sabracha. It's difficult because Simchas Torah, how many people have time to do Shnai Mikra, especially with Rashi. You got some long Rashis over there. If you made the cheshbonos of how they did it, they had a very special way of doing a war. The Greeks, what they used to do, they take the soldiers, they put them in squares. They would go along in squares, and they would throw their spears when they were in a formation of a square. So like the other side, right, where they were fighting, wouldn't know where everything's coming from. Often you know where the direction it's coming from, you know where to fight. But if it were in a square, it was coming from that direction, they didn't know what to do. They had certain strategies. There were tens of thousands of them. If you make the cheshbonos, it's unbelievable. Klal Yisrael had who? The sons of the Kohen Gadol. What do they have already? And Lamaisa, they defeated them. That's for sure the nace. But the Rabbeinu Shalom, and this of course, Pnei Yeshua, Meiri, a lot of Torah in this. This Lamaisa, we got a kiss. The Rabbeinu Shalom, together with winning the war, we received also a kiss. And that is, we also got the oil, which we didn't even need. Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, many kashas. We didn't even need kosher oil. We could have used treif oil. What do we need to get the kosher oil for? And the answer is very simple. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, it was an extra hug from Hashem. I'm gonna save you. Klal Yisrael, you're always going to be saved. We're always going to be here. Klal Yisrael are always going to win. But there's always going to be also the extra hug, the extra kiss that we got. A cousin of mine lived in Sorotskin, still lives in Sorotskin. A Baki B'Shas for Kol HaRishonim, Mamish. He gives the Daf Yomi Shir with all the Rishonim 6 times a day. Unbelievable Talmud Chacham. His daughter went through a terrible, terrible situation. She was sick, Rachmana Litzlan, and he had to go to Bnei Brak from Yerushalayim, always to the hospital. Nebuch, she was nifta after a few months of the illness. And he told me that very, very often to get to Bnei Brak from Yerushalayim, he didn't have a car. It was not so simple. His daughter was very, very sick. How's he going to do that? He said one time he remembers he was walking along Sorotskin, and all of a sudden a car stops and says, "Do you need a ride? It looks like you want to go somewhere." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm going to Bnei Brak." "Oh, great. That's where I'm going also. I'm going to Bnei Brak." Hop in. He's like, "Really? I'm going to the hospital." Yeah, I'm also going to the hospital." It's like, wow, unbelievable. Didn't have to wait for the bus, didn't have to get a taxi, it costs money. Unbelievable. In the hospital itself, he says so many times, he was walking like, okay, how am I going to get to Yerushalayim? I have to schlep my daughter on the bus. It wasn't simple. How am I going to do it? Anyone need a ride to Yerushalayim? And he got the ride. And he said to me, he said, Gzeira is Gzeira. We accept it from Hashem. But I felt that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was holding my hand. I felt like I got an extra hug from Hashem. The miracle of Chanukah, the nace of Chanukah, and that's why we light the menorah with such great avodah, to remember that kiss, to remember that hug from Hashem. That Klal Yisrael will always be saved. There are times of great sorrow. There are times, as we're in right now, of milchama, of sorrow, of difficulty. We have to look for the light within the darkness. We have to look for the times where we feel the Rabbeinu Shalom's presence, where we see the Rabbeinu Shalom and feel Hashem's hug to every single one of us. Hashem hugs us, He kisses us, He loves us. That's the miracle of Chanukah. That's the remembrance of what we do. So yeah, we don't mention it al Nissim because Avada the Ikenes was the Muhammad. But our personal avodah is to also remember the hug, to remember the kiss, and that's represented by lighting the candles. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow, Rabbi Isai, we're going to go through some of the halacha lamaisa, of the halachas of what oil, what time. B'siyata Shmaya, join us tomorrow. Have an amazing day and amazing Chodesh.